Hey everybody, welcome back to Mortgage Ballers. This is Rich Hanlin, and today I have her again for a second year, one of the best of expert home lending, Miss Megan Is it still Lamerato, or did you change names? Because since last time we spoke, you got married.
I did. For work purposes, I kept Lamerato.
Lamerato,
For
there we go.
Yeah, Lamerato. Just because that's how I built my business. That's how people find me. That's who they know. For personal, I did switch over to Beckenhauer, which when people ask why I didn't hyphenate, to have Lamerato Beckenhauer would be the longest last name ever.
That
So
would be a
I
long one.
did to appease my husband. He wanted me to switch my last name, so I did, and I just kept Lamerato for professional.
I think my wife never said anything right before we got married. Right 2 days before, she said, "You know what? We never really talked about it. Were you wanting me to take your last name?" And I was like, "Oh, I guess I just assumed that you would." She goes, "But you're okay if I keep Richardson, right?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I guess." She goes, "I was just testing you to see if you didn't do that, but I'm going to take yours." And I'm like, "Yeah, gee, thanks." She had me all stressed out. I'm like, "Whoa, we didn't have that. I just assumed things."
Right. Very
Um,
similar conversation on my end as
I
well.
was like, "Is there something wrong with my name?" Well, thank you for coming. Like I said, this is your second year. You were top 10, if I remember last year. Was it top 10?
No, I think I finished at 20 last year, and I think
20.
I'm at 19 this year.
Okay. Yes. I know you're one of our best of the best. 2 years running. Not everybody can say that. We had a lot of people that dropped out. We're talking from the time you started, we ended last year with like 400 originators. So, and you had started even before that. So you might have came in at the 250 to 300 mark, depending on when you started. But now we ended last year with just over 600. So we doubled the competition since you came into the game, and you still ended up one of the best of the best. So my hat off to you. That says a lot. Some incredible originators dropped out of there because some incredible originators came on board. Nothing wrong with that. Everybody's having different ways of doing things. The market's different all around the United States. But Megan, you've done it 2 years in a row in two very tough markets. So today I want people who are willing to take a moment. And you shared with us last year. If you didn't see last year's video, you should go look at it because she actually broke down her day and what she does and her mindset and how she gets business. And here she is again. So stop saying you can't learn something from somebody who's willing to give their time. Megan, you're awesome. Thanks so much for coming on here and doing this today.
Thank you for having me. This is fantastic. I love that you put these on. It's great. And I've already watched all of the other ones and seen what everybody else is doing, taking little bits and pieces from other top producers. In our industry, you have to keep adapting and learn from the best, right? There's people that did plenty more business than I did, and I wanted to know what they specifically did to get as much business as what they had.
And I do the same thing. I'm like, Howard, did you do this? And you do this. And I shared with you that I have people in the same market, probably within 20 miles of each other, and they're having different experiences. And I always find that kind of interesting because what it tells me is there's business everywhere. And the differences are you versus them. And there really are measurable differences in how you wake up, conduct your day, conduct your week, conduct your month, and you have found something that works for you and you're very consistent. Your team, we'll talk about your team here in a minute, that's also grown. Matter of fact, let's give them a shout out because I know you don't do this by yourself. When I say team, you have individuals that have come together and they lift each other up. Tell us about your team. It's okay to talk about them. I like them too.
Yeah. So we have branched out a little bit and formed a team called Greenlight Mortgage Group. And we initially started, there was six of us.
Mm-hmm.
And we've grown to, I was just telling you, I think around 20 people now, 20 different loan officers that have joined. A lot of them we've worked with in the past at previous mortgage companies, but we all just wanted the team camaraderie so we don't feel like we're on an island by ourselves.
Big,
And
big thing right
every
there.
day, it makes such a big difference. And, things are constantly changing, guidelines are changing.
All the time.
We might have a situation that I've never run into or never had before. And I bet you there's one person on my team that has dealt with it before. So we have a Gmail chat group, and anytime we have a question, somebody will put it in the chat, and it's a matter of minutes before there's somebody responding to it. And then sometimes we go back and forth, and other people will add in their experience with. So it's nice to have that camaraderie, so you don't feel like you're doing it by yourself. But as much as we all still work individually, we all do come together and help each other out. You know, nobody wants to see anybody fail. And at the end of the day, we're promoting our name and our brand too. And we do want to have great loan officers and that have a good reputation, especially in our market. And all of us came from the mortgage banking world. Some came from banks themselves and credit unions, but most of us came from actual mortgage companies. And you know, it's nice to have that camaraderie and have a team you can go to for any questions you might have.
Well, I definitely see a difference. Not all teams are created the same, but your guys have had a lot of success. We've had a couple that have really shown everybody like what a team concept is. You know, they do things together. I know you guys do things together. Really enjoy getting out there to the Boulder area. We have a lot of people in South Denver. We're getting ready to do an Arizona trip, I think on the 24th of April. So anybody's going to be in the Scottsdale area, come on by. We're going to be out there celebrating them because we haven't done anything specifically for that group. That's a lot of people out there too. But no, love coming out there. I love getting out to Colorado. It's always a good time. Colorado is probably one of my friendliest business states to do business in. So believe me, I like Colorado. Washington, we might not be doing. Oh, never mind. All right. I want people to know more about you. I mean, last year I drilled you, and you guys can go back and look at her from a business standpoint. But I want to go a little bit deeper. You get somebody like Megan who's going to sit down. I would be doing an injustice if I don't push you a little bit for people that say, "Oh, you know, I can never be like Megan. She's, you know, a diamond in the rough." And I'm like, "Yeah, she is. She's one of the rare few nowadays that wakes up and says, I'm not going to fail. I'm not going to fail. I'm going to figure this out. Oh, that didn't work. Don't do that again. Oh, that was kind of fun. I'll do that again." And that's what it takes day in and day out. And, you know, if you're doing this kind of business in this market, you're going to have a real fun time when it turns and you're doing a 4-to-1 ratio. And when you get refis and things, and we're sitting in that, you know, low to mid fives, and people are just coming out of the woodworks because you have built such an incredible base. I mean, your team's going to explode, which is crazy. You'll need 5 assistants, and it's just going to be busy, which is a good thing. I want to know. I don't know if I asked you this last time or not. I knew you're a part of the team. I knew about your past, but what's your, if you had to break it down, Megan, what's your favorite part about what you do? I mean, you could probably be successful at anything that you do, but you choose this of all things. It's not the easiest. So what's your favorite part that holds you into this every single day?
I have to say my favorite part is when I go to all my closings. I think I mentioned last year. My favorite part is getting to the closing table and seeing the excitement in buyers' faces. You know, I've had buyers that are crying because they're so happy. They thought they never would be able to buy a house. And some are easier than others, right? Not every deal is your cut and dry 800 credit, W-2, great salary,
Really?
as much as we all wish they were.
I didn't know that.
But the harder ones are the ones that really, it just makes you feel, I mean, makes me feel whole, right? I can't even put into words what it's like when I'm at a closing and I see the excitement on people's face. And they're, you know, I'm a hugger. We're giving hugs. We're chatting the entire time, getting to know each other even more. But this is the biggest purchase of people's lives for the most part. And so to be part of that and part of like a scariest and most excitement that they're having, like just to be part of that is what I love. It's, you know, you kind of forget about the pain parts to get you to the closing table just because it just surpasses it.
Once you get people, and refis are like that too, everything's stressful. But as soon as you say, hey, we're clear to close, docs are getting escrow, like, I don't care how bad it was, people are like, sigh of relief.
Yes.
And that's when the real estate agents, because everybody knows this is going down, everybody's work is not going to go, you know, people are about ready to get paid, and it's very few times, knock on wood, does something happen from that point forward. It's like, no, you work hard, and then that's supposed to be the easy part. And so that's one thing I do like about our industry is very seldom does anything go backwards from that point. The only thing I've ever ran into refis, sometimes the title companies will pull what's called a date down right at the end. Oh, by the way, do you know you have a $40,000 child support? And I'm like, okay, we need to know about that like way over here because
Yeah.
that's going to hurt everything. That 50,000 cash out's now 10 because you ain't getting money unless you pay it off.
Yeah.
That's one thing I don't like about refis. Purchases don't do that. Purchases let you get onto a house, and anything that you got away with is now attached to that house because you're on it, and they just wait for you forever and ever. But I love that. And I'm a hugger too, just so you know. Let me virtual hug. There we go.
Yes.
All right. Here's a good one for you. I want to know because how long have you been doing this?
6 years.
6 years. All right. You can take everything that's between your ears now, but I want you, if you had to give advice to your younger self based on what you know today, what would that advice be?
I would say I mean, come up with a plan and stick to it and be consistent with it. I remember when I first started and I was doing everything I possibly could to get in front of an agent to try and, get more business. And I felt like sometimes I was like beating my head against the wall. And I started showing up to open houses, and it's like, okay, if you don't want to answer my call, I'll just show up with flyers, and eventually you'll like me, I promise. But just trying to get in front of people and in person. And I remember that was advice that I was given when I first started. Like, don't get discouraged. Keep doing the same activities over and over, and if you're consistent with it, it will pay off. And
I like
I would
that.
say it was probably 2 years into the business where I actually saw it really start to pay off. And I'm not having to make 150 calls a day to get 5 people on the phone. All of a sudden, my phone is ringing. And I've kept with that. I've kept consistent with all of my activities. I've learned. Another thing I would say to tell my younger self is breathe and know that it's very much a roller coaster in our industry. And
Definitely
again,
is.
don't get discouraged when you feel like you're not doing anything, because that can change in a weekend and all of a sudden you have 3 or 4 new deals that just it fell into your lap. So if you're doing the right activities consistently, I've seen it start to pay off.
And that's, I think you said something. Once I learned that, I didn't trust it at first. And eventually I live off my averages. I don't live off the highs, and I don't suffer off my lows. I live off my averages. And once I started, that was a big one versus Mercedes, sell the Mercedes, Mercedes, sell the Mercedes. Just drive a Ford truck. There we go. But I mean, I remember going 90 days without a loan, and I'd be 15 grand on my credit cards, and I'd be like, my wife's looking like, oh man. And I'm like, no, I trust it. I'm doing it. I know this works. And then boom, I got 5 deals and credit cards are paid off. And here we go again. And it always happens certain times of the year.
Mhm.
We have those traditional times, depending on where you live. California, as soon as the sun starts coming out, the optimism comes out. I'll share this with you. I watch everything. Everything's measurable to me. And so from a company standpoint, we had September last year when the rates kind of dropped. So
Mhm.
we had our biggest month ever of imports, not just applications, because apps can be apps. I want to know what's making it to a lender. That's usually, there's more meat and potatoes behind that. And I know that we're going to close a certain percentage of those imports on average. And that was our biggest month. And then it kind of died off. No more rate cuts. Everybody's like, oh, optimism went out the door. Well, something happened come January 1st. We had our second biggest import month. February beat that one. And so we have our February was number 2, January number 3. Now March looks like it might be the number 1. So we haven't had, since we opened these doors in this market, 3 consecutive months of heavy imports. And so
Mhm.
something's going on out there. There's definitely optimism where people are finally relaxing, saying, hey, I can live with these rates, but I want to get on with my life. Because
Mhm.
people sat around for 3 years on the sidelines, doing nothing. And people are not patient. Like, if
Right.
you want to move on, believe me, I guarantee there's a lot of kids born in the last 3 years. And people need that little bigger house. They need that little bit extra. And they've been holding on the sidelines. So pent up energy, something's going on there. And I'm seeing it across all markets, not just one market. So just thought I'd share that with you because something's going on, and you're part of that too. And are you seeing any of that in your market? Are you experiencing any of that?
I am. And I've talked with some of my other partners about it too, to be like, I have 30 people sitting that have pre-approvals, like
Wow.
waiting to go. Um, and I've noticed definitely an uptick. March is probably the best purchase month that I've had since I've been at Xpert, with how many deals are coming out. And I agree with you. I think people are sick of waiting on the sidelines. As soon as they kind of get it in their head that they want to buy, all of a sudden it's like, okay, next weekend we're out shopping and looking at homes. Some of my friends went under contract, and they came over for dinner. They had a sheet of questions that we just went over at dinner, and they're first time home buyers, and they've been renting since they moved to Colorado and just paying obnoxious amounts in rent. And they
Imagine.
finally are at the point like, okay, our lease is up at the end of August. So when should we start the process? I was like, well, you can fill out an application at any point, just so we can start seeing, like, I don't want you to look at houses you don't qualify for or are way too high of payments. So, the people that go right to Zillow, I always tell them, like, at least know what your payment's going to look like in that price point based on your situation. So as soon as I told them this is what you're pre-approved for, this is the purchase price to look at to keep your payment where you're comfortable. They went under contract that next weekend. It was like 3 days later, and they're like, we can break our lease. It's totally fine. And, now they're closing next week as opposed to August timeframe. So I think as soon as people start kind of getting that itch, we will see them start flooding the market. And I think people are just at this point, they're like, rates are where they are. We're paying 100% in interest right now. So what's the
When you're
point?
renting.
Right. So why not 6.5 or 7% when we at least will see something come back whenever the time is that we sell. So I do think
Yeah.
I've seen it pick up pretty intensely this last couple weeks.
No, it sounds like you're real busy, quite honestly, based on those numbers. But you said it. Some of the other people have mirrored that. I've heard it a couple times. Like, you understand when you're renting, you're paying 100% interest. There's nothing. There's a $60 renter's credit I think you can put on your federal or state tax return. Like, big deal. It's
Right.
like it's 100% interest.
Mhm.
So careful fighting. My investors are some of the best. They changed my mind. They're like, Rich, we don't care what the rates are. If it works for what we're doing, then it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We could always refinance later. But to them, it's just a business transaction. Do I want to put more down to make it work, or do I want to try a different market because this market's not working? I need to expand. Let me go check out another state. Oh wow, Alabama, I could buy 5 homes, or something like
Right.
that.
Right.
I always ask you about business, and people can go look at you last year, and they should go because year over year is a pretty good indicator of success. And some of your teammates are on there for a second year as well,
Mhm.
and we'll be hearing from them. But um, and I appreciate you sharing that with me, but I want to know more about you. I know you're a success. I know that you know how to do loans. I know that you put people in houses. I know you deal with real estate agents. I want people to know who you are. Who's Megan when you're not in loan mode? What kind of things do you like to do?
I'm a very active person. Most people will say I don't sit still very often. And we travel a lot. My husband and I, we have a fur baby, that he kind of alleviates some of the travel that we're able to do. But for the most part, we travel a ton. I'm usually gone on weekends, whether it's I go camping almost every weekend in the summer. I ride dirt bikes, so we take the dirt bikes camping with us. We usually don't go by ourselves. There's usually a group of friends that will come with us. So yeah, in the summer times, we're camping, we're hiking, we're outdoors, doing as much as we can outdoors. In the wintertime, we're skiing. I just came back from a ski weekend with some of my friends. I'm going on another one next weekend. I don't like to sit still very often. I actually have a hard time like sitting and just relaxing for a little bit. I'm like, what else can we do? So I feel like I'm always kind of out and doing different things. I have a really good group of friends that, we hang out a ton. We like are constantly coming up with new and fun things to do. I've started playing blacklight pickleball is my new thing that I'm
Wait,
loving.
say that
Uh,
again.
Blacklight pickleball. So have you played pickleball before?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's this league that's like right down the street, and on weekends from 7 till 10 at night, they make everything black light, and the balls glow. People have glow in the dark paint or like black light paint that they put all over their face and bodies. You wear
Okay.
bright clothes so that it really like lights up, and I mean, for 3, 4 hours, go out and get a nice little workout in, play with a bunch of different people you've never met before. I usually go with my sister, brother-in-law, handful of friends, my husband, and now it's a thing that we're doing every couple weeks. We go and play. I don't love cardio, so it's my cardio, I would say, that makes me feel better doing. Um, and yeah, I'm trying to think. I just started a gun safety class for women that want to learn more about guns and feel more comfortable. And it's more of
That
like
you're taking or that you are teaching?
I'm taking the class.
Okay.
So it's just there's like 15 women in the class, and once a month we go and we learn different skills to make us feel more comfortable. And an agent actually told me about it, and I was like, that sounds like something I would want to do. So now I've invited a handful of my friends, and we're all doing it together. Um, so I just, I'm not one to just finish the workday and sit home on a couch and do nothing. I'm a very social person. I like to be around other people. Um, and I like to be out and in nature as much as possible.
I like it. I went to a gun range here in Georgia, and I was like, I have a little 9 millimeter, and I'm going, shooting those off, and all of a sudden I have this cannon thing next to me, and I look over, and it was a very determined woman, and she had like this dirty, hairy 44 Magnum thing. This thing is just blowing holes, and she's got the thing up like within 6 feet. And I'm thinking, okay, she's got a predetermined vengeance going on there. I don't even know if I could hold that gun, but she was holding it, and she was putting a very tight pattern on that. And I was
Yeah.
with Alex Budd that's here too, and we were looking at each other going, there's some anger over there. There's something going on. Should we ask? And we're like, no. How about we just leave her to herself?
Let her
Not
blow off her steam.
She was blowing off some steam, and I have not. I mean, I've heard of those guns. I've never seen them. That's not the normal gun. I mean, it's a very heavy gun, but
Yeah.
wow, she was had no problem using that.
Yeah.
Um, in Georgia, is Colorado open? Um, I don't know, conceal and carry, or can you openly? I
It,
don't know what the right word is.
yeah.
Carry
Open
openly.
field. Yeah. It depends where you're located. I live in Boulder, and Boulder County is not open carry
Okay,
unless you're on the campus, which blows my mind. I heard
unless
this
you're
the
on
other day.
the school campus she's
The
talking
school
about.
campus, unless you're on the college campus because it's not owned, it's owned privately.
Okay.
So I mean, I don't need to carry. It's not like I feel threatened leaving my house, but just to have a lot of the basics and understand it, have an appreciation. I've always liked to shoot guns. Nate and I have talked about this because I saw he went clay shooting, and I was like, "Oh,
Oh
Nate,
yeah.
next time you're out in Colorado, we go clay shooting all the time." And he's like, "I didn't know you shoot." So I told him, I was like, we'll take you out there the next time you come. But again, just to learn a lot of the basics and to have the safety behind it is really, I don't think I'm really going to get my concealed carry. I don't feel like I need to have it, or care to have it, but just to have a lot of the understanding surrounding it. I enjoy the class a lot. We're learning all sorts of different things.
Georgia, like you got to be careful if you have road rage because people have just guns up in their car and it's legal to do that. It's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
all right. And I'm not saying good or bad or anything like that. If you're gonna have a gun, learn how to use it because it's one thing to have it; it's another thing to actually pull the trigger. Let me tell you that.
Right.
All right. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
All right. Tell me this: what is a lesson you learned the hard way, but you're grateful for now?
That's a good question. I would say like the thing I struggle with the most that I'm really trying to learn from is I I'm how do I put this? Um, I feel like with this job and the stress that comes with it and everything else, I'm very quick to be like, what the heck just happened? Instead of like just breathe, relax, find a solution. It's like my blood is like boiling a little bit, like I'm on a heightened. And so I'm really trying to like take a different approach, especially this year of like having a nice calm, like, all right, things will work out. They always work out.
They
Just
always do.
instead of jumping the gun and being like, what the heck is happening? Just having a different approach to it. And I think that it's it's definitely one of my areas of struggle for sure. And especially like, I submit really clean files. When I get a file out of underwriting and I have like 20 conditions, I'm like, what? Did you even look at this file? And it's again, instead of just jumping down an underwriter's
Honey,
throat.
where's my gun? I need to go talk to an underwriter.
Exactly. But instead of jumping down an underwriter's throat, being like, okay, let's take a breath, let's formulate this email in a much more positive light, and try not to piss off the people that I'm working with. But I would say that that's something that I've noticed about myself, and it's a constant struggle to keep working on, because I am very quick to be like, okay, I know I submitted that, I know I did this. That's not even a condition I've ever seen before. So instead of being very defensive with it, kind of taking a more relaxing approach. I get that from Hardy. Actually, Matt Hardy has a very calming, relaxing, like it's gonna
Yeah,
work out.
very even keeled.
Yes. And our job is stressful, and everyone deals with stress different. I just wear it on my sleeve, so you know exactly what I'm feeling at every moment. And so trying to, take a little bit from other people's books is something that I'm working on.
Tell me this. I mean, obviously you've had success 2 years in a row. Probably, and the Scotsman guide will be coming out pretty soon. It'll tell us who the top producers for the nation were. And these are people that actually submitted. If you can get through the fluff, like the brokers who put all the deals in their own names, you can actually find the originators, and you can see what kind of compare yourself on a national scale. Who were the top 50? Not just Xpert, but overall. And we will have multiple people that people say, why don't you submit in there? And I'm like, well, because I know that there's brokers that put their names in there and they take those top spots and they're like, look at me, look at me, look. I'm like, you're not even doing the loans. Like, why would you
Right.
do that? But I can take that and then compare it to our people, and we're going to come up with our own recognition off of that platform, because now we know how we compare to everybody else, and I know we're going to be blowing a lot of people away, and I'll be amazed to see how deep our loan officers are of our 600 that would have been top originators nationally if that was the best of the best. So, you have the national best of the best in their opinion, and then we have our best of the best. I mean, we're the sixth largest mortgage broker in the United States based on volume closed per month. So when I say, we have our best of the best, you might want to pay attention, because that means they're probably some of the best in the nation compared to everybody else. I mean, we're not just like, oh, there's 5 of us, and she was number 1. It's like, no, there were 600 of us.
Right.
Pay attention to that. I mean, year over year, 2 years in a row, but I want to hear, what did you make any changes in 2024 versus 2023? I mean, did you just keep the same exact protocol, or did you make any tweaks to your stuff? Have you made any tweaks in 2025 versus those previous 2 years? Are you just staying up? I have the winning formula and I just keep going. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I would say I focused a lot more at we call it staying in the flow with people, with your agents. Because sometimes I'll reach out and I'll have somebody pre-approved from months ago, and then it's kind of crickets. I don't hear from them.
Okay.
Same thing with agents. I do feel like if you stay in the flow and you're not just like reaching out to be like, hey, what's going on, and you're actually adding some sort of value to your conversations. I've been trying to be better at that. I did get a great tip from another loan officer that he's a huge competitor of ours. And him and I are really good friends. And he's like, I spend, 30 minutes a day, and I go on social media and I comment on all of my agents' posts, and I engage with them, and I interact, and, I show them that I care and I'm seeing what they're doing. And I've started doing that since he told me about that. And I mean, I got a contract this morning from an agent that I'm like, God, I haven't done business with her in like 6 months. Like, what's going on? And so I just randomly reached out to her the other day and asked her if she wanted to go do a hike and grab a coffee. And she was like, yeah, absolutely. I saw her last week. She referred me clients. They're under contract this morning. And so it's, if you can try and stay in the flow with the people that you like to work with.
You said that last year too, if I remember,
Yes.
for 2023.
Yeah. I think that that's the biggest thing. I like to work with the people that I work with. And, everyone has a painful client or somebody, an agent that,
Yes, we do.
might not be the easiest to work with. And are they sucking the soul out of you and taking all of your time that you could be helping 10 other clients? Sometimes you cut those losses and move on, right? I know it's easier said than done. Nobody wants to be like, you're a pain to deal with. I don't want to work with you. But at the same time, if they're a pain from the beginning, you're going to deal with that the entire time.
Yep. And
So,
that's some people only know business as pain. They even if you had a smooth transaction, they're going to bring pain. I mean, I've had people yell at me because how high their insurance is. I'm like, that has nothing to do with me. Like, I
right.
don't understand. Why are you yelling at me? It's like, I'm just the easiest person. I'm like, but they're not yelling, they're venting because they don't know me personal enough to yell at me.
Right.
I had stopped taking it personal. I'm like, some of my best clients are people that we had it out at one time and they said, I like the way you do business. I'm like, really?
Mhm.
Because that was pulling teeth.
Right.
Um, I want to ask you something different. There's another one here that I thought about you when I was writing these up. I think it was this one. Um, what's the wildest thing? And this doesn't, you keep bringing in loan stuff. I mean, this cross your whole boundaries and sphere of
Yes.
life. What's the wildest thing that has ever happened to you? Come on, you're traveling the world. You're out there in the wilderness, riding motorcycles,
The
skiing
wildest.
down, Vail, Colorado, Breckenridge.
Oh, the wildest thing. Um,
Because you're all calm and cool and collected. I need to know if there's that other side over there.
there is. I'm just trying to think of like something wild and crazy that I did. I mean, I do all sorts of things that are wild and crazy. I don't know. I've jumped out of a plane 20 plus times. Is that wild and crazy?
I've done that once. And did you do that in Colorado?
I've done it in Colorado, Florida, and Michigan.
All right. So, truth be known, I did it in California and I went up 12,000 feet. And so I'm going to ask you that because Colorado's already a mile high. And I'm like, okay, how do they do that? When they opened that door, I was like, oh my God, it's so cold up here. It
Yeah.
was hot down there, but it's cold up here. And all of a sudden I like, whoa.
Yeah.
And I remember my wife was going to go out after me, but I remember falling backwards and I was like, wow, I separated from that plane fast. I was thinking, oh, I'm going to float out and she's going to do it. But I remember falling for a little bit. And I remember I had a person on my back. I don't know if you do that, but I had a person on my
Mm.
back. And it was more than enough. I don't think I'll go back on my own. But when he pulled that canopy, and I was like, everything slowed down. And I was like, okay, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you started realizing how tall you were. And I'm like, how does he know? How do you know where we're landing here? Because I can see for miles up here.
Yeah.
But we got to get back to that one landing spot. But they seem to know. But they record it all and, the terror in your face and all that stuff, the people that pass out. But I remember I went up because it was one of those things that when I jumped out of that plane, I left a lot of shit up in the air. And I said it was like a healthy let go for me. Everybody has a different thing in life,
Mhm.
but it was scary. And I'm just said, I need to push it. I don't like being afraid of anything. So I try and face those fears head on. I knew I was going to be safe, but something that my wife and I were able to do together. And actually, Melody Mayer, that runs our admin department, she went up with us. We all three went out
Cool.
of California, but it was a really cool experience, both mentally and physically, let alone just the experience itself. It was very healing for me to jump out of a plane, as crazy as that sounds. But
Yeah.
that'd be my question. You're up a mile already. So how much higher do they go? Is there oxygen? Is there oxygen up there that you can breathe?
I would say I'm trying to remember how high we go up. It's got to be like 20, 25,000, something like that, because we're pulling the parachute at like 12,000, I
Right.
think.
You're falling a long way.
Yeah, so I'm trying to remember. It might even be like closer to 30,000 actually, now that I'm thinking of it. But yeah, I mean, you fall so quickly that it's
You
like you
do.
try to scream, nothing comes out. Your just spit is just basically going in your face if your mouth's open. But it's just something so I do tandem as well. I don't feel safe and comfortable with myself jumping from a plane myself. But I trust my life in the hands of the people that do this for their job. But there's just something so like it's just an undescribable experience,
It
you're
is.
flying through the air. I always try to do fun things like let's do a bunch of flips out of the airplane, or this one time we were like acting like we were like walking forward and like move, just like different fun things. But it's when you're floating up there and you just have a whole different perspective of the world and where you live and everything. And I don't find it scary. To me, it's very exhilarating. My husband refuses to do it, and he
Okay.
loves. He's an adrenaline junkie. So like the fact that he's like terrified to jump out of a plane, he's like, I have zero intention of doing it. I love doing it. For me, it's exciting, it's fun, and as soon as I land, I'm like, let's go do it again.
Wow.
So those are the kind of things I like to do. Something that's a little risky, but I still know most of the time it's going to turn out pretty okay.
Well, and it's funny. I mean, people think, why is he asking such weird questions? But I'm trying to get to a point here. If people will really pay attention to top producers, they're not the kind of people. I mean, if I could make cookies out of the recipe, it's like they're very outgoing people. They're not sedentary people. They're goers. They're always going. They don't sit well still very well, because I mean, if you're not moving, you're failing, you're dying. It's like, I got to be on the move. I got to have something going. I got to be leveraging my time. I got to have this energy. But you did something that a lot of people don't do. I know some people very successful and they're just great at the cold calling. They're just numb to it. Noel Brownell is one of our people. We'll talk to him, but he is part of the core, and boom, he does it all day long, and he's become numb to it. But he gets them in every single day, and he keeps his logs. Stephanie alluded that she has some coaching. Catherine does a little bit different. She does more of the Facebook approach. She farms her friends and past clients, watching for life events. But they're all actively doing something. And that's what I love about it. You do it all just a little bit different, but it's very similar what you're doing. And the one thing you're not doing is just sitting there looking at the wall going, I wish my phone would ring. I wish my phone would ring. Because my phone's not ringing. It's like, all right, I got to make my phone ring. I'm getting up and I'm going to go surf downtown. Every realtor in town, I'm going. Amber Jenkins said, you know what, Rich, if I had to start over again, I would just put on my best dress, my biggest high heels. I'll put my makeup on, and I'd hit every real estate broker I could walk to that day. And I guarantee you I'll get one new person. She goes, that's how I did it the first time. That's how I'll do it now. And I was like, I mean, because she knows she could start it over immediately. She's like, I'm a mom. I can't afford to go 2 months without a payment. Right. I'm going to go do something that's going to result in possible. She's going to leverage her time, over leverage it in a direction that could possibly get her business. I hear you leveraging your time, all you guys, in a direction. It's very, very few of your directions allow yourself to go opposite of what can, you're talking about going for walks with your realtors, getting coffee, having walks, taking the dogs for a walk. You're reinventing how to do that leverage, but all of those are in a direction towards could result in a conversation that could lead to business. You're just not down at Costco sitting there by yourself having coffee, wondering what's going on with the Denver Broncos. I mean, it could lead to something, but it's by chance. You're very deliberate on a daily basis. And I think your whole team is, to be honest with you. I'm probably gonna have to interview your whole team to find out what's going on there. Cause is it a gummy bear you guys got? What is it? What are you eating up there? I need to get some of that for the rest of the company. And people are like, oh, what's he talking about?
Yeah.
Nobody does gummies. Nobody does gummies. I know it. All these people going, I've done that once before. They don't ever want to admit it. All right. I've asked you a lot of questions, Megan. One of the things I love to do is I love to capture you and all the incredible best of the best when they allow me to. And I want other people to be able to see it. I want them to know these legends do exist. And it's not just folklore. Like, Megan's real. And she's done it 2 years in a row. And, if you just listen a little bit and take a little bit of coaching from some of these people who are giving this to you for free, they're saying, you just got to relate to one person. And someone said it earlier, maybe, I can't remember if you did or somebody said it earlier, maybe it was another interview, but we were just talking about, if you want to be a better loan originator, you're not going to ask the local school teacher who's your friend how to be a better loan originator. She's a great person, a great teacher, but she doesn't know loans. If you want to know how to be a better loan originator, you need to ask somebody who's obtained what you think you want to obtain. And you should hang out with those people more, whether you join a team that's full of those kind of people, because sometimes it's hard to do it on your own. Maybe you go join a team for a year. Maybe 25 is the year that you say, you know what, I don't want to be on an island anymore. I'm not doing very good with that side of it. Good. Like, what does it mean to be on a team? It doesn't mean what people think. Oh my God, they're going to take 80% of my commission. That's not what the team is. These are other originators who have commonalities, and they've come together and they have their own name because they like separating themselves within their markets versus just the Xpert name. Totally fine. We have probably 60 plus DBAs going right now. I mean, that's something that's grown a lot too. But in all this, since you get me for the second time, by the way, you and Hano was our second time, because Hano was a top best of the best again. Do you have any questions for me? Anything you want to know about me, any Xpert? I'll answer anything you can. Anything you think you can ask.
Like, when you started Xpert, did you think it would be where it's at today and still growing? How many years? You said Xpert's been around 3?
3 years and 1 month.
3 years. Did you ever anticipate you'd be one of the top brokers in the United States?
Well, the answer is no. I'll be honest with you. I was happy at 12 originators in a smaller office. We used to laugh all day long, but I wore every hat in that company. I was the CPA, I was the trash man, I was the plant person, spraying the plants, trimming them up. I was also the broker. I did payroll. And I was okay at that size, but we had open offices. They were 3-walled, so everybody could see each other. And, we called leads all day long. But in between leads, we just laughed. We told jokes. We played practical jokes on each other. But that company was one of my most successful companies that led me up. I did that 9 years up to the crash. And 2008, refis went out the door in 2 seconds. We didn't do purchases. So there was a huge flaw there that I learned a big lesson on. I had to go reinvent myself as a loan originator who could do purchases. But after I started to do that, it took me about 3 years. I said, I think I've got this down now. I've learned how to get realtors. I found kind of my space, fixing people's credit so they could buy and stuff like that. Bring me your hardest people. Those are the easiest ones to get, right? But I was like, I think I figured out what I did wrong. I'm going to reopen, and I'm going to go after purchase-driven people. And I had a good company prior to this. Answer Home Loans was a top 10 company. We were number 4 at one time in the nation during 20 and 21, doing 850 deals a month. There were just 2 of us that were partnered up on that. And we took that company as far as we could take it. I left that. And people said, hey, did you ever think you'd get to 150 loan originators? I was like, hell no, I didn't think. But then I opened this one. People were like, oh my God, you're crazy. You had that good company over there. Why did you do this? Like, it's going to be such a hard 3 years, or who knows? But I got the right partners. We made the right decisions. And there's a common thread here. The further I got away from me and it became a we, and I allowed other people into the equation and the formula, and they brought their best. And we all see it a little bit differently, but overall we have one idea of what Xpert should be. And we all push hard and fight. We argue here too for the same common goal. And one of those things, me getting out from behind, everybody starting to fight, even diversify more to their strengths. But that's the fun answer. Let me say the short answer. Hell to the no, I didn't think I'd ever have 600 loan officers. I mean, who wakes up and wants 600 loan originators, let alone 1,200 or 1,800? I don't wish that on anybody, especially if you're trying to answer the calls and do all the messages. And it's been a learning curve last 3 months. People are like, hey, Rich isn't as easy to get a hold of. And I'm like, I know, but Nate is much better at some of that stuff. Lisa is much better at that stuff. And so it's just a little bit of retraining. I'm now using a calendar since January. And I say, hey, here's my calendar. And these people, they've set up a time with me. They get an hour of my time. Rich, I only need 5 minutes. No, I'm going to give you an hour, because what if you just say, oh, by the way, what else? And a lot of people call, hey, I got a 2-second call for you. And I try and jump in and take it real fast. Like, but why I got you on the phone? And I'm like, wait a minute. Megan's already made a spot. I need to give Megan that time. And so people that were used to me being so accessible are having to either wait for me to have a serious conversation, or they can email me or text me. But if they need to talk to me in person, I'm going to make sure the people that are on my calendar that said, Rich, I need an hour of your time. And it's going to be, they're going to get me without my phone on and texting and things like that. I want you to have the best of me if you're going to take the time, because you're giving me the best of you for an hour. And that's the way I'm stronger that way. That's me diving into you better. I was doing 7 calls a day, and now it's dropped off a little bit, but we're going to have our top AEs coming on here, hearing their, like, some of these guys I've known for 35 years, and they're some of the best of the best. It'd be nice to hear their success stories. They're going through the same markets we are. I have some incredible coaches that help me. I'm like, dude, we need to talk, because I have 600 people who'd love to hear this too, because they think, Rich is trying to be Tony Robbins. I'm like, no, I'm not. I get coaching also. If you think I know everything, I don't. How many people am I supposed to go to as mentors to say, hey, you've had, a top 10 company twice. What's it like having 600 plus people? There's only a few people that I can talk to at that level.
Right.
And going back, talking to you, I love it when people have 5 people say, hey, let me tell you, you should run your company this way, Rich. And I'm like, I'll listen to you. I appreciate it. But I've been there, done that. And everything you see is by design. And it works for the majority of people, not just the one. There's 600 plus. I can't do stuff just to make the one happy. I got to figure out what makes everybody successful. I've got 146 lenders. Do you need to break one of those lenders off? But it's probably not going to be UWM. Let's compromise. Let me give you another lender to be good for, I don't know, FHA Streamlines, VA IRRRL, stuff like that. Yeah. But no, I didn't know this would go this way. But what's funny, Megan, is I have really good people. And you guys make my life easy. It's not like I'm babysitting 600 people. I have some very serious, incredible originators at what they do. And I'm honored that you guys partner with any platform that I'm part of. And that's why I'm getting out from behind the desk in 2025. I want you to have my best, because I'm going to be 58. I'm a little bit older than you, but I still have a little bit of value while I'm here. And it needs to be towards making sure you guys get everything you want out of your lives, not about Rich getting what he wants. I benefit when you benefit. So I truly want your success, because your success is my success. If you're not successful, you're just going to leave. You're going to search for the next platform. So I know the other owners aren't talking to their people like I do. But I've never been conforming. I'm always a rebel. What the hell? I don't care.
And it's been an honor and a pleasure to work with, between you, Lisa, Nate, Alex. I mean, to have that personal connection with them. Like, Nate was texting me earlier today. Lisa just picks up the phone and calls me if there's anything she needs. It's so rare to talk to these people that are so high up in that started the company, and they actually care, and are trying to help. It's a very well-oiled machine. And you guys have done a fantastic job. I don't know where I would be if I was still in the mortgage banking model and didn't start with Xpert almost 2 years ago now.
Yeah. It goes by fast. It really blink your eyes. And I tell you what, September 1st, 1991, I blinked my eyes and I was like, holy crap. It's like, 2025. Yeah. September 1st will be 35 years that I've been doing this. I'm just like, wow, it's gone by. I've seen so much. Yeah. And I'm like, but cool. I'm at my best. As long as I feel I'm at my best. No, I'm not going to outrun you. I'm not going to outski you. You'll whoop my ass hand-to-hand combat. I get it. But I need to make sure I leave it better than I found it. And if I can help anybody achieve more than what they ever thought, because I've been able to achieve more than I ever thought. So I am the person that says, don't put boundaries, because you don't know where this can go. I am that person. Well, do you know anybody that's ever escaped the boundaries? Yeah, you're looking at them. Mm-hmm. This is way, like, all I did was stay in my lane. The bumpers were up at the bowling alley, and I've tried to beat up against those, but either way, the bumpers have kept me in my lane, and I've stayed in my lane, and I've met incredible people over the years, and those people keep getting stronger and stronger and stronger. You add in 44 states, we have some of the best of each state, and you guys push each other to new levels. Then you build these teams on top of the platform, and I'm going, I never imagined having teams. I was all about individuals. The teams are incredible. Those are other people bringing their ideas to this platform. And I'm like, I don't know what I don't know. And I'm learning from you guys. So I love it. That's what excites me every day. It's not just blah, loans. There's a lot more going on here. And when people can pick who they get to work with, that's what you want. You want a Megan. You don't want someone sitting behind a desk and you're just a number. He's going to try and sell you, burn you, and get on to the next one, because that's how he or she gets paid. And our industry still works that way in many places. Mm-hmm. But here you truly get a relationship for life if that's what you want. And a lot of people tell you they've done many loans for people. And the better you are at it, Megan, that phone starts to ring like you're talking about. And one day you'll wake up like me and you're like, gosh, I don't have to call anymore because people just call and ask. And they're like, how long did it take to get that way? I can't remember, but it probably took, for me, it was probably about 7 or 8 years because I was heavy in leads. But once I got a loan, they were mine for life.
Yeah.
And I still have many of those people. So it's awesome.
I love that. The repeat business is like the best, it's like,
it's honoring.
We trust each other. We like each other. We know each other on so many different levels. And yeah.
No, I love it. Megan, I want to say thank you, man. You're always just such a pleasure to just sit down and talk with. You have so much success just written all over you. You just breathe success on anybody that will take the time to listen to you. You call out the people that help you, your team, the people like Matt Hardy. I mean, you're only as strong as what they're saying about you when you're not around, right? And when you call out those names, like, it's because these guys are good. These women are good. And we have some of the best men and women in the industry that call Xpert Home Lending home, and they reach back and they pull on you guys, and they create these incredible scenarios for you guys to be as successful as possible. So thank you for being a top producer 2 years in a row. I imagine we're going to see you again next year because you just are consistent. I'm honored that you hang out with our platform, Xpert Home Lending. I know you can go anywhere you want, and you're probably getting recruited because they're all getting. I got recruited the other day, and I'm thinking, why are you recruiting me? They honestly are just dialing for dollars, I think, is what they're doing. I asked the guy. This is a funny story. I said, "Who is it? Who wants to meet with me?" Yeah, if I could just get you, so-and-so wants to meet with you. I pulled it up, and I'm like, how many people do you have working at that office? Oh, we have like 36. I said, cool. I said, you're just calling, right? And he's like, what? I don't understand what the problem is. And I'm like, man, I have 600 people. Did he want to come work for us, or is he trying to get me to work for him? And it was just like the person just doing their job. But I thought, man, they don't even know who they're calling, right? They're just trying to see if anybody will go. That drives me crazy because that's not the best way to do business. If you're going to come to Xpert, I'm going to look you up. I'm going to see what you're doing. If you're not producing business, then we got to have a talk, because just bringing you to Xpert isn't going to make you do loans. The question is, are you coachable? Could you maybe benefit from going to a team? Does one of those teams want you? It's not just a one-way street. Stephanie Gilbert said that too. Rich, I love helping people, but they're going to do it my way, or we're not going to do it. I'm not going to change what I do for somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. And I thought, ooh, I like it. I like sassy. No, I'm kidding.
She knows what she wants.
She does know. She really does. Well, those are my questions for you. I appreciate it. Let me capture you. I'm going to make sure we get this out. Give me a couple of days. And I think people are going to want to see this again. They're going, oh my God, it's Megan again. And that's a good thing to say. But thank you so much for your time today. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you for yours. Appreciate it as well. Always a pleasure.
Well, people, if you like interviews, if you like finding out who the best of the best are, and you want the real skinny and the real scoop of what it takes to be best day in and day out, go listen to someone like Megan. Go listen to last year and then listen to this year and see what the commonalities of those are. You don't just wake up and become good. There's a process. There's consistency. She cares about her clients. You can hear how she talks to people. She's making it personal. She enjoys who she works with. We heard that from a couple other people. Stephanie Gilbert enjoys who she works with. Catherine Barnett. Come on now. It's not by accident what they're saying. Their words carry meaning. They could write a book, every one of them. They're successful at what they do. And your life's changing as you change other people's lives. I love that you go to your signings, and I love that you're giving hugs, because you're right. When you change somebody's life, it's a very emotional experience. Next time, take them up and jump out of an airplane together and hold hands as you're giving them keys. I'd love to see that one. Megan, thank you so much. Like we always say, people, when we get off a great interview at Mortgage Ballers, we just got to say it. We got to give the salute. It's not this one. Yes, that's the X, the famous X. It glows in the dark at night. But we say, stay thirsty, my friends. It's up to you to make it or break it. and only you can change it if you don't like what's going on. So, Megan, you are a true industry changer, and you are a mover and shaker. Congratulations to all your success.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Rich.
All right, Megan, take care.
You too. Bye.
There it goes.